work. And now I get the absolute honor of introducing them to the program right now. Ladies, gentlemen, people that don't give a fuck, please welcome to the show, Cheem. Or at least, Cheem's camera's off. There they are.
What's up?
Woo-wee. Well, it's about fucking time, guys. Do you want to introduce yourselves to anyone that might not know?
Yes.
To any fake fans in the audience.
Yeah, we're Cheem. We're a new pop band, which is like
that is not how this works. You do not get to come on my show. We've had this discussion. You do not get to come on my show. And
we're Cheem. We're an emo band.
This is new pop. No, I gotta let that one go. It means a lot to you, so please continue. I'm sorry.
We're a new metal band with some new pop leanings. We're from New England with a U, and I'm Sky. I sing and rap and play guitar and do turntables.
I'm Sam, and I sing and look cool.
I'm Sean, and I play drums.
I'm Gabe. I play guitar and the Pro Tools.
Yes.
And then we have a Prince on the bass, but he couldn't join us tonight. But he gave us his warm regards.
So the first time that I ever spoke to you guys, no, the second time actually, one of you was driving at the time. Do you remember that?
That was me.
That would have been
me.
He patched in from the car. It was like an O.J. Simpson thing. There were like lights going on behind him, and he's like, "Well, my influences are pretty varied overall."
Yeah.
I'm really glad to see you stationary this time, though.
Yes, it's much safer, but
I
less
gotta
thrilling.
say, I admire the commitment, Gabe. Like, props to you for calling in from your car, but that fucking sucked.
He made it. He made it.
He was in the middle of that like big scandal at the time, like with all like the fence shit. So like, I'm glad he beat those allegations. But like,
I was running.
you gotta admire the dedication. Yeah.
From them. No, I'm glad you guys helped out. So thanks.
No problem. We were your alibi.
Absolutely no problem. The new single, Fake Fans, is available right now. I think that I speak for the entire world when I say we love it. It's groovy. It's tight. It's everything that I want out of Cheem. I would say what separates this one from the Guilty Pleasure work is it's a little bit more, and this is a music critic term that has not been used since like 2006, angular. It's got a little bit more of a post-punk sound to it.
He said the word.
Take a shot. He said the word.
It was
said the word.
That, I mean, listen. What is the word? Why was that the word?
We just have a joke where it's like take a shot every time a music review mentions like one of a bunch of buzzwords like angular, dreamy, soaring, mathy. There's a bunch.
About you guys?
No, anybody.
Just anybody? You know what was the big one when the Postal Service and bands that sounded like the Postal Service were big? Skittering drum programming.
That's a good one.
That was a big one. That was a big one.
Bring that back.
But I really do feel like I'm hearing a lot more of like, I would say actually more of the reference point for you guys would be Block Party. I feel like I'm hearing that influence more on this track.
I spent years in my parents' basement shedding songs off Silent Alarm. Just like hours out of my day.
It's like the best album of all time.
I love Block Party.
That's really fucked up. That was their debut. They shouldn't. That was a little too much for me. That was like, hey,
it's unfair.
You need to relax. You guys need to relax. This is like a third album. You call it a debut.
There are some underrated bangers off of Weekend in the City too, for sure. Sky knows.
They're a good band. They're a good fucking band.
Could never get into
another
that
good band I found out about from Guitar Hero. I would have never known about them if it wasn't for that shit.
True. Helicopter. Absolute classic. So anyway, though, I'm curious as to you guys, the way that I originally heard about you. Hold on. I just realized that I forgot to pull this up because it's tradition. I have to pull up the DM that Sam sent to me the very first time I ever actually heard about your band. Oh, the DMs aren't loading. Are you guys saved? Hold on. You guys might be rescued. But it was a really good DM because it was like, hey, we're Cheem. We're a band out of wherever the fuck you guys are from. Connecticut?
Yeah.
Sure.
Am I in the region?
You're right. It is Connecticut. Yeah, but
if you had to drive,
that's where it started.
If you had to drive to Connecticut right now, how long would it take for you to get there?
0 seconds.
An hour.
Did you?
0 for me.
That's right. Hold on. There we go. Here we go. Remember when this website used to work?
Yeah, and I think it had a different name before. I can't remember. Before it was X.
Witter, I think. Witter.
I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I've kind of given up. I just call it X now.
I have not. I'm still on.
I switch back and forth. But while this is breaking down before my very eyes, I'm curious though, because it's like we might have some new fans in the house tonight. Can you do me a favor, introduce the band and where you guys came from? Because what I always do is I always make this sort of unfortunate faux pas where I refer to Guilty Pleasure as your debut album, but that is not true. So why don't you guys walk us through the Cheem story?
Okay. It's a long story. I mean, basically, we started the abridged versions. We started in like high school as like kind of like a mall emo sort of pop punk band, like a Taking Back Sunday ripoff band. And then when we realized that every other band in the world is like trying to do that or something similar, it was like, let's do more fun shit, because we listen to a lot of music that has nothing to do with rock music. And when you incorporate other genres, specifically like hip hop and R&B, into rock music, you get something that sounds like nu metal. So that's kind of just what ended up happening for us. And we put out a mixtape that was sort of like the first iteration of like the newer Cheem sound back in 2018. We called it Cheem TV, but I would say Guilty Pleasure is the de facto like Cheem debut. Like, this is what Cheem to a modern audience sounds like. So you're not wrong. I wouldn't say you're wrong.
It's kind of like you've arrived, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a bunch of other shit we did that's like, fine, but Guilty Pleasure is like the one. That's the starting point. Yeah.
And now we're like an actual confident band that we have, a vision that we want to share with everyone.
It absolutely, you know what? I would put confidence up there as like the part, like maybe in my top 5 descriptors of the band, because you guys definitely betray the fact that you went through like variations on sound. You didn't like arrive and we're like, shit, we got to come up with something. It was like, no, we've learned the ropes. We know what we're doing.
Yeah.
I feel like the idea of like a debut is hard for a musician because, I don't know about anyone else that could be watching that's a musician. You're kind of born into it if you're a musician, Like, there really is no debut. It's a growth. It's always growing. For a lot of artists, they always, they change their name, and when they're finally confident and introduce the world who they are, and their debut is their early mission statement. It's like they've already were doing it years before. Where for us, it's been under the same name, and we're just, it just took us time for our brains to develop. Fun fact: your brains don't develop until you're 28 now. You used to say 25. Now 28.
They just keep pushing it back because we can't get off our phones. Every couple of years, it's like, actually, it's 33. It's 33 once you have
we're stunting our
right. We're skewing the statistics in real time.
So here's what I find really fascinating about you guys, though, is that you have a full-time rapper. And how long has Sky been the full-time rapper in the band?
Cheem 28, baby.
Yeah, Cheem 2018, baby. I mean, Cheem 28, baby. I fucking I don't know. I mean, I was always a vocalist in the band, like even before. That's the other thing I wanted to bring up, is that there was different lineups. Like Guilty Pleasure is the first release with the final current Cheem lineup, so it's another reason why we call it
the final lineup.
Yeah,
nobody's leaving.
Nothing else. We're stuck. But so I'd always been singing, and I think it's just a matter of like continuing to incorporate more like hip hop esque cadences into my singing until the point where it was like, all right, why don't I just actually rap? Because I would rap in places that weren't Cheem, and I would make beats for projects that weren't Cheem, and it was like, why am I not utilizing any of that skill set? So it eventually just got to that point where it was like, all right, I'm sick of people thinking our band has one vocalist and sometimes he just sings worse, which would be me. So I'm like, let me just do something totally different from Sam, and I'll start rapping, because that's what I fucking do, and now that's what I do.
So before you actually integrated the rapping, were you just walking around with the microphone doing backup vocals like the guy from Crossfade? You were just doing the Never Meant to Be So Colds?
That would be sick, though. I would love that. That'd be a good gig to have. Very cushy. But I play guitar. So I used to play guitar on every single song. And now, recently, I've been like, why? I don't want to be tethered to my mic stand anymore. So I'll just let Gabe handle guitar duties, and I'll put the fucking guitar down.
Like, all right, let me sound like 2 guitars at once right now. Let me make up for this.
So as a band that took on, though, a full-time rapper in 2018, I imagine people didn't get it.
Well, the thing is, they never got us before that, so we were like, who gives a shit? Like, that was the thing. I don't think we would have been empowered enough to do it if we hadn't gone through several like iterations of the band sound where over and over again we'd be playing to crowds that weren't receptive and like releasing to online audiences that were kind of like, yeah, I don't really get what they're doing here. This is just like this is really weird emo, and it's like it's just not like so. It was one of those things where I think we reached a point in our band. I don't want to call it a low point, but it was a point where we were like, all right, listen, we can do whatever we want. If people are gonna like not get it, regardless, let's just do literally anything we feel like doing, and that's why we did it.
And I think that when you do whatever you want and also play like kind of like heavier style guitar music, you end up at new metal. Like you just there you are. You've arrived.
It's like the concurrent evolution. It's like how everything keeps evolving into crabs. It's you know what I mean.
Convergent evolution, Sky.
Convergent evolution. Yeah, thank you, Sean.
Yeah,
Sean's a zoo guy.
So you guys are so ahead of it, though. If I remember correctly, you actually faced some discrimination for sincerely enjoying the band 311.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That was that was like one of those like moments where it's like I was at a gig and there was a guy there who saw me wearing a 311 shirt and asked me like, "Hey, oh, cool. Did you buy that shirt ironically? Like you wearing that ironically?" It's like, yeah, dude. I spent like $25 on a shirt to wear ironically. Like, what are you, an idiot? And then the same guy was outside smoking a cig during a band that I really liked, which was like this chiptune rock band called TTB. And he was outside, and I'm like, I had to walk out from him because it was fucking hot. My ears were ringing because I didn't used to wear earplugs because I was an idiot. But, I was like, yo, these guys are pretty cool, right? And he looks at me, he's like, you like this shit? And I was just like, all right. And like, that was the moment where I was like, you know what? Anybody with this opinion, like this set of opinions and this style and this approach to music, I just don't give a shit about anymore. Let's be more like 311.
We're not. We don't have the economic capabilities to be tearing each other down. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
So
benefits no one.
I mean, that was something that I thought our dearly departed to some degree Pitchfork. Something that I think about with them is that in like the early 2000s, if they hit your band with a bad review, it was over. You were done. Like you give up. And there was a whole article written about it, about like bands and artists that got 0s or 2s being like, my career was done overnight. Like we don't have bookings anymore. And I've noticed though that in the last like 10 years or so, they kind of eased off that sort of reviews because the economic disaster impact of that became too much to really bear. Like you didn't want to be the person responsible for just ending someone's career. Like you wouldn't give a new up and coming band like a 6.9 or something. It's like,
yeah, that would be fucked up. I imagine there were some writers who probably took like a weird sense of pride in it, but yeah, for the most part, it's that weighs heavy on you. If
you got to get a funny score, you know what though is that what I don't think people understand about Pitchfork is that it's a broader decision. The score, and I know this because I personally asked Ian Cohen what he wanted to give White Pony by Deftones, and he's like a 9, and they made him knock it down to an 8.4.
Damn.
I know. The new metal agenda was not big enough back then. Not big enough. So, but as we arrive now in the guilty pleasure era, something that I find to be really remarkable. Okay, so we just did a podcast episode, right, about Linkin Park. We talked about Hybrid Theory, and we were talking about how most bands took the lessons from Hybrid Theory, what Hybrid Theory did so well, which was integrate all this like backpack rap and electronica and rock music and metal music and new wave music and pop music and make it all feel like it's always existed as like a unit. It's always been like that. And we were trying to figure out like who we could think of that took the right lessons from that album. And I was like, oh, Cheem did that. Because they took new metal, emo, pop punk, J-rock, hyper pop and just went click and like put it all together and haven't sold 10 million albums yet, but we're working on it.
We're getting there.
But I am curious as to like I said, it betrays the confidence of a band that's been together for a couple years, many years, that hundreds of years. I don't know what I'm doing right now. I'm really sick. This is like, you're hitting like the impact day of my sickness. You know how it like hits hard on that first day? So I'm doing my best. But
or like hurts like have clothes on your skin and shit. I know that feeling.
So but I just, it's like, I feel like as long as we've been talking, as long as we've known each other, I've still always been trying to understand how you arrived at that sound. Because, I mean, it's just so perfectly put together. And it hits just so easily. You hear it and you're like, oh, I love this, really fast. So how did you get to that point as a band?
You had that article with like the top 100 like new metal albums or whatever. You said something that, I think it was about Linkin Park, where like, discovering that the walls between genres are like actually really thin, you know what I mean? And I think a big part of that is like a rhythmic thing where like you realize like you can write a pretty standard rock riff, and then all of a sudden if you put a different beat under it, it's like, wow, this is something new. Like I just made something new. You know, you could put like a fucking more like Latin influence beat or like, you know, Caribbean influence beat under it, and it's like, wow, this is not like just regular rock music anymore. So just like listening to bands like 311 and Linkin Park who would do stuff like that.
It wasn't until I talked to you guys and learned you liked J-rock bands like Asian Kung Fu Generation that it really clicked for me, because you have these very gentle, clean guitar, melodic runs through your songs, but aren't like wimpy enough to be emo. They're like bright. They're like bright, and they're major key and stuff. And it was like, where are they getting that from? And it's like, oh, once you said it, I was like, oh, that's right. It's like fucking J-rock type stuff. So
all that anime opening stuff.
And I really do think you and Sam are like the new Mike and Chester. So
thank you.
So if Sam, haven't you? I have heard you do screaming before, right? On another one of your albums. I swear to God, this is true. One of you guys.
It's probably me. It was either me or him or both of us. I don't know. We used to do a lot more like dirty vocals. It wasn't like good technique screaming, I'll tell you that much. It was definitely bad for our voices.
Well,
I have heard Sam scream before, and it's pretty wild.
Just in pain or like purposefully?
No. Like,
like Looney Tunes stuff.
Yeah,
you know,
could be in pain. We don't know. Find out in like 15 years, right?
I'm around Sam 24/7, and I got to witness the first time they ever screamed on recording. And as a lifelong fan of metal, I was really impressed. Yeah, this kid can fucking scream.
I'm expecting that. I'm expecting that
in
the new release.
Uh-oh. I was about to say you'll just never hear it, but maybe you will.
Just come to a Cheem show. It ends up happening.
Oh,
yeah,
I would love to do that, except you've boycotted Los Angeles. Cheem has absolutely boycotted the West Coast. They refuse to play over here.
Yeah, we stamped the ban on.
We don't want to light on fire. Sorry.
Yeah. Between the earthquakes and the flames, yeah.
Listen, I don't know, man. Like back in the day, bands like yours used to come out here and they'd play all the Hollywood clubs and wait to get signed, but you know what? It's a modern era. Everything's different now. So I don't want to move on too quick, though, from Guilty Pleasure. So I'm curious as to like what roles each member of the band took from that one, because I think in my brain, I've always kind of talked about it the way I talk about Hybrid Theory, which to me it's always like Mike or Sky took a lead songwriting position and, you know, people did their things later. But I feel like that might not be true here. So why don't you fill me in on this one? What were the band members' roles? What was everyone up to for that production?
I mean, it's pretty spot on. I feel like I wrote the initial ideas for all the songs, just like getting
the skeletons.
Yeah, I'll like demo stuff out, and then you know Sam and I will work on vocal parts, and then we bring it into the band, and it's like, all right, let's figure out how to like do this live and figure out how like Nate and Sean can like get a handle on their parts and introduce their own styles to like the stuff that I've laid down.
But what Sky's saying right there is like especially important, because something that I've noticed about Sky's demoing process over the years is that more and more he is demoing drums that are made for me. Like he understands what I'm able to play and what complements my style, and more the drum parts just resemble my drumming. And I'm like, okay, this just makes sense.
Omerta, do you know the band Omerta?
Yeah.
They had the opposite problem where they would like sound out the kicks. They'd be like in the studio, and the drummer would be sitting there like, oh my God, fuck.
Are you serious?
Yes, like they would program it. Like they would program the drums, which is remarkable to me because they sound so good. But they would do that, and the drummer would be suffering just listening to it.
The drummer's so fucking tight.
He has to be.
Yeah.
Literally.
Speaking of drums, though, one of the first things of that album that actually captivated me is once you get past the knock me out before I get to a chance to speak, is the drums hit, and you're like, whoa, these are loud. So I'm interested as to how you guys came about that, because a lot of what I do on this show when I'm like talking about bands' songs, new band songs that people have submitted, is I'll get to a point where I'm like, this drum tone is not doing it. Like we need drums here, and I think that's a unbelievably underrated aspect of rock music. And since you guys have such a distinct drum tone, I wonder if you can educate the audience like how that came to be. Is it a live kit?
Yeah. It's a live kit. Totally.
That's me, baby.
We recorded that at me and Sam's old college studio like a year after we graduated. It's actually one of the only Cheem releases where we tracked two instruments together live at once. Like the drums and bass were tracked in two different like ISO rooms at the same time. So like just that alone created what you were talking about with like how like these parts kind of change once we actually get our hands on them, once they're being played by their respective instrumentalists.
You know what? That's a really big deal that you guys do the drums and the bass at the same time. That's a really good detail because I'm always telling people that like 55% of a great nu metal band is having a great drummer and a great bassist. Like you're like
totally.
Like if you think about a band like Cold Chamber, there's almost nothing else going on. Just the drummer's going wild, the bassist is almost on tempo, and then that's enough. So I think that's actually a really good detail.
Yeah.
Kids, if you're listening, record your drums, record your bass. Don't skimp on that.
For peace of mind, I wanted the drums and the bass to very much sound like us, you know, to take it out of that demo phase and into the Cheem the band phase. As for the drum tone, I mean, I've just been like, I just mixed enough things before that where I just like was struggling so much with like getting the drums to feel that like 3D, very obvious, you know, like the second you hear like 311 drums, it's kind of like crack and like you can't really go back from there in terms of like brightness of the snare and, you know, really just that. I think that's kind of what Guilty Pleasure was all about for me, was just harkening back to those sounds as much as we could while still making it work with these, you know, futuristic arrangement
Like, have
styles.
you ever thought about just the snare tone on Adidas by Korn? It's nutty.
Great.
It's like, what the fuck? It sounds like someone shooting a BB gun at a garbage can. It's amazing.
It rocks.
It's amazing.
I truly feel like when you're mixing, you should be able to turn it all the way down till you barely hear anything. And the one thing you hear should be the snare and maybe some vocals.
Listen,
Like that's how central the snare drum is to an entire production, in my opinion. That's at least what's been guiding me. And then I show it to everyone else, and they're like, "Yeah, that's the sound that we kind of had in our heads."
so I was raised off like the Beatles and stuff. So I think when like that's your formative young band, you're a melodic music listener for your entire life. You just love melody. And I can tell you like the exact moment I knew I was listening to something really special was on the song Cheem Season, when Sam does the "I can't believe you let him get to you." I was like, this is a melody. Like this is not someone trying to come up with a melody. This is a fucking melody. And that was, I think, when I tweeted it out about it the first time, because I was like, you guys got to hear this. They're writing melodies on this bitch. Like, I don't hear bands do melodies anymore. And so I'm curious as to like where the melodic component of the band comes from. Is this a one thing, a collaboration thing? How does that come together? Because I think that is my favorite part of the entire band. I think I really love the melodies and the singing. No offense, anyone.
I feel like, I mean, Sky does write a lot of the melodies, but half the time I kind of will listen to maybe just the instrumental of the song, and I will record some ideas on it, and I say, "Hey Sky, check out these ideas I have, go crazy, change my lyrics, change anything that you think could improve the song so it feels more connected to your concept of the song." And it always works out really well. I am not a Beatles kid growing up, but I will say I always loved the melodies from that band, and I know Gabe the Beatles kid. Yeah.
What kind of kid were you?
I was waiting for that.
What kind of kid were you growing up?
Me? Oh, Sam. Yeah.
Let's all say it. Let's all go. Let's say our background.
Same time.
That's a very interesting question, because I always grew up. Well, my first, I remember like the first memory I had when I heard music was in my car, my dad's car, and some of his favorite bands were Sublime, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Steely Dan, Pearl Jam. A lot of like 90s alternative rock, anything that you heard on any sort of rock radio in the 2000s. That was definitely my first exposure to music. And I remember in preschool, I got in trouble because I sang "What I Got" by Sublime to my whole class, and I don't know what that story.
You were like, I can still get high. I can still get high. Yeah. I can play the guitar like a motherfucking riot. Oh, you know what? And didn't you do it a cappella?
Yes, it was a cappella.
He did a cappella, and then he sang the part about playing the guitar.
Had no backing band in kindergarten?
He sings the part about playing the guitar like a motherfucking riot, and then he just stands there in dead silence.
I think that's the only lyrics I knew in the song because obviously there's a guitar solo after that. But it's a very memorable intro. But yeah,
feel free to just hop on your phone. By the way, you're not like in an interview or anything. You can just go play Angry Birds or something. That's fine. That's fine.
You can see me.
Yes.
The whole time you're on Twitch, you dumbass.
He's got the toothpick and anything. I'm just giving you a hard time, man. Hey, I'm just giving you a hard time. Don't worry about it.
I'm so upset right now.
You're fine. You're fine. Sam, let me check with you on this one though, Sam. So another compelling thing about you, you are a trained vocalist, right?
Yeah, I was in like choir high school. I had some private training. I studied jazz voice in college, so I have like a bit of the both ends of like classical jazz, and then obviously in my own personal time, contemporary. I auditioned for American Idol when I was 16.
What?
Fun fact.
I don't remember this. I don't remember talking about this. What?
I honestly didn't get far. There's like a few rounds before you get to like Simon, Paula, Randy, and yeah, I remember my audition was with This Love by Maroon 5.
Oh my god!
Out of all songs,
I bet you sing. I bet you sing the shit out of that. I bet you can really sing that one. You think?
They're like, oh, you're just kind of like a knockoff, boneless Justin Bieber. So
what did they say that to you?
They were just like, yeah, you have a great voice, but like we don't think like you're that interesting enough for live TV. So bye bye. And
wow.
Honestly, that ruined my life back then. I remember crying in my bed for like 5 hours. I was like, it's over. I'm never have another shot.
Couldn't they have just said, we're gonna pass? Like, why did they have to be so specific?
I know.
They're like, you have a great voice, but we do not like you as a person. You can sing. You can sing, but we do not like you.
Yeah. Oh, it broke my 16-year-old heart. I was like, top 5 worst moments of my life for sure. It was up there.
I think that's bottom 5. I don't feel like top 5 for that. You go bottom 5.
Top 5 worst moments.
Top 5 worst.
You know what was one of the best moments of my music listening career though was getting to that point in Guilty Pleasure where I knew I was hearing something really special, because it's never happened before. I've heard a lot of really good new songs. I've heard a lot more really bad new songs, but that was the first time where I was like, oh fuck, I'm gonna be talking about this for years, and I have. I've asked these guys multiple times if I need to tone it down a little bit. And
no, please keep going.
You're our biggest and only supporter now. Not only, but honestly, like
the only one.
Yeah,
you're the king of Cheem.
I am the ultimate Cheemster. Yeah. I am the ultimate Cheemster. But anyway, like to move on from that, what I think really makes Cheem. I can't believe. Yeah, I've just arrived to the part that I think makes you guys special. What I really love about Guilty Pleasure though is you guys are kind of arrogant. Like, you guys have a little bit of this fuck you swagger. And, like, the lyric of yours that was just stuck in my head today, because every part of every song's been stuck in my head at some point, was the part about, like, how you bought a good review. You know? Like, that part. Tell me who you know from here. What song is that from again? Is it Clueless?
That's Clueless,
That's Clueless, right? Tell me who you know from here and how you got into the industry and how you bought a good review. And I love how Sam sings that with this little, like, sly little upturn at the end there, how you bought a good review, like a little bit of a knowingness to it. And there's like so many parts like that around the album where it's like why don't you just try being an actually good band instead of being a social media maven or paying for things or doing this? Like, why don't you try making good music for a change? And
yeah, we're big haters.
And
we've been ripped off so many times over the course of being a band. All of it is rooted in real experience. Like that's what I can say about the themes on Guilty Pleasure, and that's why we have that fuck you swagger.
It's exaggerated. Like, we don't like, go around every day saying this type of shit, kind of. But like, it is from a real experience at the end of the day.
I mean, you guys had a full-time rapper in 2018. I know you guys got so much shit. There's no way. You guys just got away with
a lot more behind our backs than we knew.
But yeah, there's people who will still like subtweet us. Like people from like our state, like fucking. There's like plenty of people who like fuck with us and shit. But there's like also this like vocal minority of people who like will take any opportunity to shit talk Cheem, and it's the best shit ever. It fuels me so well. I love it.
You have a lyric about
It's
that.
awesome.
Why you gotta hate on Cheem? Why you gotta hate on Sam and me? You respect the dream. You respect the dream.
Yeah. Exactly.
You don't not
Someone recently
about-
to my face at a show said that they didn't know that I was in Cheem, but they said, yeah, you know, I didn't really like him that much at first listening to the record, but then I saw him live and they're pretty good. Like they were saying it to me. I was like, oh, cool story.
Cool. I'm gonna go get back on stage now
Yeah.
with that band.
It was
Gabe,
great.
you have like that quality where like I feel like despite the fact that you are a founding member, there's like so many people who for some reason don't realize you're in the band. So you have like the ability to like overhear shit that like people wouldn't say in front of like me or Sam or Nate. Or something.
Exactly. I work in the shadows.
Yeah.
Hashtag where's Gabe?
Moving, but like,
Gabe is the
Hashtag
mob
Gabe.
boss of Cheem.
Even when Gabe's on stage, where is Gabe?
Yeah.
who directed the music video for Snag? And how much did it cost?
Oh,
that-
$0.
So that was directed by our old manager and our old roommate, Connor Lenahan. Shout out Connor. I don't know how much we threw him for that, but there was no budget. That was my old Ford Focus. Rest in peace. I just got a new car finally. Threw all those stickers on it. That sucked. And that was it was just in this park in Providence, Rhode Island, that we just decided to roll up to and just be Cheem and be crazy and see what we can do with
Cheem
the
it up.
camera.
The money featured in the video came out of our pockets and was swiftly put back into our pockets because we needed it.
I'm sure we lost a little bit of money from that day because it.
I know we
it was
definitely
so
did.
windy
I think we
fucking
lost like a $10 or $20 bill flying away.
Which was a huge
Yeah.
deal at the
Damn.
time, and it's still a huge
Yeah.
deal actually.
Still a huge deal.
If a $20 bill of mine, if that blew away, I would be running full sprint.
I'm running for that.
If anybody in Providence near Williams Street has seen a $20 bill, that was us.
Could
So
you-
please send it to
If
us.
you could hit us up, that would be great. So, how did you guys arrive at that as being like the first single?
That was,
well,
you know what's funny is that was the last song that we added to the record.
It's
it was
always
recorded way
the
later
last
than everything
song.
else.
I think
Yeah.
it
was
One
tasty.
Step Closer was the last song added to Hybrid Theory.
There you go.
really?
Yeah, it's
was
always
great.
the last song.
Fake Fans was also the last song that Sky introduced to me on this upcoming thing. And it's now the song that is out and you can hear it everywhere. So very similar. To Snag. And there was something when I first heard Snag where I was like, oh, this feels different than the rest of the tracks. Maybe it was because we were sitting on the record for so long that Snag felt so refreshing to me. And it's super quick and aggressive and in your face and gets to the point pretty quickly, which I really like in music. It always stuck out to me as like a standout track for Guilty Pleasure.
Yeah, I thought it did everything that, like, it encompassed the entire sound of Guilty Pleasure in a really quick package.
Yeah, I agree. It hits you with everything within 30 seconds. You're like, it's this now.
And,
Now it's this. Now it's this.
It was like
the,
it was a min-maxed song. Sean likes to say that I like min-max our songwriting. Like if it was like a fucking video game build. That was an example of that because I listened to the record without Snag and I was like, okay, we have this awesome bass player. We have almost no slap bass on this record. There's not that many fast songs and there's not like a good like trap break. So let me put all three of those in one. So I listened to Take This to Your Grave. I listened to Astro World. I wrote a slap bass riff. I wrote the rest of the song. I put it together in like 15 minutes. And I was like, all right, cool. Now this can be the track that like fills all the other niches that like the rest of the tracks didn't fill.
Astro
And
World.
that's how it came to.
Sun
yeah.
is down. Freezing cold. That's what
I
you
love
already
that album
know.
so much. Yeah.
You know what?
I know it's not cool to listen to that shit anymore after he sent like 9 people to Astro World, but like you know,
To the great Astro World in the sky. You know,
Yeah.
Oh my god.
you know what is funny is that's like one of
Good
the
album.
albums. It's like one of the rare albums from that year that I feel like actually aged pretty well. Like I
I agree.
did something that you don't really do that often anymore. And I listened to that song Sicko Mode by choice just on my headphones. I'm like, this is a fucking really good song.
yeah.
Damn, this is a great song. So
There's a reason he got a burger, his own McDonald's burger.
that's cool though. That's just another bit of influence from you guys that I can account for. In the wake of releasing Guilty Pleasure, how did you feel about the the response you got back from that one. Did you guys have it kind of pegged in your head as being the big one? And I know the big one means a lot different things now than it did 23 years ago, but it was your breakthrough release, no?
Yeah, we definitely didn't rush putting it out for that reason. Like,
yeah,
it probably could have come out like at 2 different points before then, but like, I think we all were kind of looking at each other like, oh shit, we can't fuck this up. Like, these are all too good right now. I don't want to be like, have this like arrogant thing.
No,
but, like,
go for it.
But we're allowed to.
Because
we totally are.
Once you pass that threshold of like, oh, I've worked on this for like a year and a half, it's like, now you can't, there's no excuse for an oversight in the production or the intention of how the song is supposed to come across. We kind of owed it to ourselves to kind of wait it out. And I think it was for a good reason. I think if we rushed it, some stuff would not have been fleshed out as much. A lot of stuff ended up coming together really late in the stage, surprisingly. So,
yeah.
I can't stress this enough. The arrogance thing works because the songs are so good. that shit would not have flown if you guys were writing weak ass songs. The songs are so strong that when you talk about how other bands are bums, it's like I feel like you kind of put the whole scene on notice. Is just how I feel about it, really.
You said it, not me.
I'll say it
thought
again.
that it was important to like introduce this new era of Cheem and be really careful with how we released it. And obviously, 2020 was a very wild year for everyone. We didn't feel like we were ready to, present everyone, what we were about. And that's why I was really, I think I was the driving force on sitting on a record, which is ironic because now I want to just, I want to share with everyone as much music as we can because we have so much good music hiding in the Cheem vault that is just
there,
waiting to come out.
I have heard shit beyond your comprehension. That's all I can say.
It
is beyond your comprehension.
It's tough to think about because it's like I feel like young artists are under so much pressure to get shit out right away. Something I think is really different. It's funny that Jesse from the band Steppa's in here right now because Jesse, you're the one that made me consider this one. Is it like a couple decades ago, if you were a young band, you would record an album of demos. And nobody would hear that shit. You would send that to like a very select few people, and then you'd get hit up by like an A&R or something, and it'd be like, we like what we're hearing here. Let's bring you into a studio. Let's re-record these. Let's flesh them out. Get them done really well. Like when you hear even like, have you guys ever listened to like the early Linkin Park Zero tapes and stuff?
Yeah.
If you listen to those,
they have a different vocalist too.
Yeah, they did. Brad Wakefield. If you listen to those, and bands like Trust Company too, and even Korn, where their earliest stuff sounded kind of thrashy. If you listen to those in a vacuum and don't think about what those songs become, you can say to yourself like, maybe this isn't so great. But that was, you had a long process before getting there, and I think a lot of people now feel a lot of pressure to get stuff out right away without having any time to work on it. So it's like I wish you guys could take 2 years off. Fuck off for 2 years and tour the worlds and hit up a $250,000 a year studio and, really make something happen. But you got to get back out there, don't you?
We kind of have that process behind the scenes though. Cause like all of our ideas start percolating and like start the demoing phases, like years before anybody else hears them. Like there was stuff on Guilty Pleasure that was written in like 2017. And there's stuff on this new shit that we're doing right now that was written in like 2018, or started being written in 2018. So like, we kind of give ourselves a backlog and like some padding where we can kind of make a lot of ideas and sift through them and figure out and hone the ones that are best. And then by the time people hear them, it's like, wow, how is this band consistently putting out good music? And it's like, cause there's, like troves of not as good music that you're not hearing, right? Or like iterations of these songs that were not as good that you're not hearing.
I think those are called demos, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
Before we move on from the Guilty Pleasure era, you guys also put out a deluxe edition of the album, which I think was a very clever idea. I think that was a great idea, a brilliant idea, an impeccably smart idea. And I want to ask, where did the idea come from?
Brain.
Where did the idea come from? All right, chat. Let me learn you something right here. Sometimes in the music industry, you gotta steal shit. You stole that shit from Kirk, baby. Everybody give a big round of applause to Kirk for coming up with that.
Oh my God. Yes, the idea to do a Guilty Pleasure Deluxe Edition was indeed my idea. So I support this band in as many ways as I possibly could. And we had even, I've never told you this, but we before the Guilty Pleasure Deluxe Edition happened, we had a little bit of discussions, behind the scene discussions about doing something like that together. And then I met you guys in New York City for that boat party, and you told me at the bar, at the after party, that you were going to put out a Guilty Pleasure Deluxe Edition. And I was like, that was my idea. And they're like, we know, it was a great idea, so we're just going to do it on our own. I was so fucking upset. I was so sad. I actually had to walk away from you guys and collect myself and come back because I was so sad.
I'm so glad I wasn't there.
I was destroyed. But
I felt so bad.
No, it's fine because I just had to walk away for a second, and I was like, whatever's best for this band, I don't care as long as it's best for
you honestly, you took it a lot better than I thought. I thought there was, I don't know what I thought was gonna happen, but I respect the fuck out of how you handled it. It was really nice.
But I did have to go lean against a wall. I had to go like. So, you know what, though? So I'm seeing a question down here. Kirk, why a deluxe edition? The reason that I wanted you guys to do a deluxe edition, I think that before, I don't remember exactly, but I feel like before that was ever in the cards was Sam sent me the song EOE. And I came home from a bar just a little bit drunk, and I put it on. I listened to it 10 times in a row. I was like, this song is so good, it's going to save the world. This is the best fucking song ever. Ever.
That is now, I think, 10 years old.
Yeah.
That was a song that we started writing. Like the genesis of that song was like literally high school.
So good. It might be your best vocal melody. It's like competing with Cheem Season, I think, for like the all-time vocal melody, because like I fucking love that song. I really do. And I think that was where I got the idea, where I was like, you guys gotta revisit this era. We can't just move on from this because the shit you got lying around in the vault is so strong. And now you guys are probably like, boy, that would have been great on the next album. Damn.
Honestly, no, because it was a re-recording. We wanted to get the re-recordings out of the fucking way and like kind of cap off the era, because it wouldn't have made sense to like put them out on their own. Like it was sort of like, I don't know. It was a throwback for the old heads.
Right. Especially if it was like a decade old. You don't want to drag that with you, any further. If it's a done song, it's a finished song. But I love that song. If anyone in here hasn't heard of it, you should go listen to it. It sounds like a song from the Meteora sessions, Linkin Park Meteora sessions. It sounds a lot better than the Linkin Park single that came out a few years ago. So go check that
I appreciate
shit out.
you saying that.
I say it because I mean it. And then there was another song on there, right? What was that one?
Migraine.
Migraine, also amazing. And does that one date back a long time?
Yeah, definitely. With that one,
2016, 15. Yeah,
this guy getting his chance to show off his baritone.
Yeah, we wrote that in our old drummer's bedroom in New Jersey. So the original title was NJ Love, and then it went through a bunch of other iterations we probably can't say, and then ended up at Migraine.
Also included in there is a collaboration with the actual first artist we ever had on the show, which was DJ Recode. It was it Snag that they remixed?
Yes, yeah. Snag.
So if you guys want to hear the truest like hyper nu metal version of that song, please go check that out. How did you link up with them? Because we're huge fans on the show. We love them so much.
I actually met them through my old band, because they lived in Boston for a while, and then found out that we had some mutuals within Connecticut, and I was like, hey, we're looking for some artists to do some collabs on our last album. This is a song that I feel like you do, go crazy on, and sure enough, it was crazy.
So we finally arrive at the current era of Cheemery, which is the song Fake Fans. Oh my God. Now, if I describe to anyone out there who has somehow not heard this song, tuned in late or something, imagine Urban Hang Sweet era Maxwell, the R&B singer, jumping on a track with Limp Bizkit, right? It's somewhat like that. It's really, really cool. It's very R&B influenced. The bass line on it is nuts. I'm assuming that's why he's not here. He's still recovering. The bass player is still recovering from having to record that. And I think it really heralds. And you know what? The drums absolutely slam. Like that has not been abandoned or lessened at all. The drums go fucking nuts. So I would like for you guys to bring us up to speed on this era, how this came about. Is this song a new write, or has this also been hanging around for a while?
It was Nate, our bass player. Yeah, Prince wrote the bass line back in like 2019, I want to say, like pretty soon after he joined the band, and he sent it to me, and he was like, it was originally called like Cheem Type Funk, because Cheem Type Beat was already a song, and anyway, it was a riff on that, and I was like, damn, this is fucking cool, but I don't have any like, I just didn't have anything to go with it. I don't like forcing stuff. I don't like trying to sit there and like force the rest of the song out. So it took a while for me to like hang out with that and be like, all right, what's like, what would be the perfect hook for this? And once I got the perfect hook, the rest of the song just kind of falls into place. But yeah, that the genesis of that was before Guilty Pleasure, before anybody even knew what the fuck that was. So it does date back. The rest of the song came later.
Twitch user Good Zoy just asked me, when are you going to start playing music? And I was like, don't disrespect Cheem like that. But then I look at the clock and I'm like, oh fuck, it actually has been
we've been talking for a while,
quite a bit of the show, and we could talk for so much longer. But I do want you to keep going, and I need people to understand where this band is headed and how you guys are going to get there. So please keep going.
Yeah, and then the R&B influence, I mean, is pretty natural. When you were like talking before about like what like our childhood influences are, like I had 2 CDs when I was younger that I wore the fuck out of, and it was No Strings Attached by NSYNC and ABC by the Jackson 5, and that was just kind of like my whole melodic vocabulary growing up. I feel like I learned a lot from that. So, you know, writing the vocals, very, very much inspired by that kind of shit, and all the other music I got into tangentially from that. The other bass, like the verse bass line, I actually wrote that one because, again, it's kind of like Sean was saying, like learning how to write for the other members, like learning how to write a bass line that Nate, I know, is going to A, be able to play, and B, like really slot into it, just like feel nicely and have fun with. So yeah, it's just another that honestly is probably the most like, to us, the most like throwback Cheem song. Like it harkens back to the Cheem TV sound, because that's kind of when the initial idea came about. But it's a nice, I thought it was a nice way to start this newer era off, because it's I think it'll be a little more familiar to people. And then we got some surprises for the other shit that we're working on.
Kirk, you're not ready. You are not ready for the rest of the
No one's ready.
Yeah. There's something for everyone. I would say it's the most diverse release we probably put out, just because of how short of a track list it is, but how different every fucking song is.
I think I'm ready. I think I'm really ready, actually. I'm
It's the
ready.
heaviest.
Maybe you might be the only
Really?
Yeah, I can say that definitively. It is the heaviest. If you took, there's one song in particular, I was shedding it down in my basement earlier today, and I just thought, like, if you took this song and showed it to 15-year-old Sean, like 13-ish years ago, right? I would have freaked the fuck out. Like,
this is
what?
It.
Yeah. That was like my full like gent prog metal phase when I was 15, you know?
I'm rubbing my hands together. I'm sorry. I just started doing this involuntarily. I'm like, yeah, let's go.
We just got the masters back too, and they sound really
The
good.
masters are in. Now I really need
You want to hear them?
The masters are in, everybody. Oh baby, for the new album.
EP.
EP extended play. Is that a brand spanking new metal show exclusive right there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah. No title drop just yet, but you know, if you really want to hear it ahead of time, Kirk, you let me know. I'll send you that.
Oh yeah, you will be getting a DM. Anyway, guys, I think that does just about do it here. Before we wrap this up, please let everyone in the audience know where you're at, where they can find you, what's going on, and when you'll be in Los Angeles.
We're Cheem. You can find us at on Instagram, Cheem.season, and then Twitter, Cheem_season. Just go to Cheem.net. Cheem.net, don't forget that. And we'll play Los Angeles this year. Only if you rock with us.
Please.
Yeah. If you're there, we'll play.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah. You gotta be there. You gotta perform with us. We gotta do the whole motherfucking thing.
You know what here's what I am working towards, actually. I just remembered this. So what I'm really trying to make happen is I'm trying to put together a show where I do like the DJing part, I DJ like the throwbacks and stuff, and then we interspace it with bands doing covers, doing new metal covers. So I already talked to the Callous Cowboys about doing a System of a Down set. And I was wondering what new metal band you guys would want to do.
I mean, shit.
Linkin Park feels like a gimme.
Yeah, I feel like we should do Linkin Park, but I don't know. That might be hard on Sam's voice, huh? Fuck it, we'll do Linkin Park. Yeah, Linkin Park.
You should talk to him separately about this.
We got
his
it.
voice.
I got it.
Doing
Don't worry. I'll just that has to be the first show that we play.
You guys think on that. You guys think on that, because I do feel like that. I am not Brazilian. Stop it. I'm sorry. I'm looking at chat. Oh my god. Fuck. Okay.
Cricket Brasileiro.
Listen, we're gonna have we'll do a long episode because we need to get to those requests. But if anyone in the chat right now has any questions for Cheem, please put those in ASAP. Have you guys gotten sick this season?
Yeah.
No,
I got sick after our last tour, but not recently.
Kirk Harshbach sounding good. Fuck you. Oh my god.
This person says, wait, somebody said, Cheem, do you like Weezer?
Oh my god. Yes.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, they're good. They're a good band.
Isn't
Rivers
it-
Cuomo's like one of the most interesting people on earth.
What is it? Why is that band just so relevant? Why doesn't that band ever go away?
I don't
He
like
makes
Weezer.
good pop music.
They were really good.
Fucking
I'll
Rivers
admit.
Cuomo is like the fucking Rumpelstiltskin of the alt rock scene. He's immortal. He's never going anywhere. He's always going to come out with something new to stay relevant.
Cheem, best
Cheem,
311 album.
Grassroots, 100% grassroots.
Which one
I
was
see
Grassroots?
What's up?
Which one was Grassroots? Like, is that the first?
That was that's their second album.
Second.
It came out before their big breakthrough.
Oh, they're like you, where the Blue Album one is not their debut. It feels like it is,
Yeah.
but it's not.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly.
I would say for me it's self-titled, which is the Blue album, not Weezer. 311.
The blue one.
The blue one, yeah.
Nobody wants to stick up for Evolver.
Evolver's great, but it's not their best.
I think it's their least bad. They're all bad, but I think that one is the one where you're like, Red, I guess this is fine. The longer Peanut,
Fuck you.
the longer their bassist turns down my offer to come on the podcast, the more shit I'm going to talk about them. But as soon as I finally lock that down, I need at least two of you guys to come on that podcast with
I'll
them.
be here any day of the week, any time of day, for sure.
Who else do we have? Do we have any more questions for the Cheem team? What else do we have here? I'm going to try to see if I can think of one. What are you guys' favorite Linkin Park song?
Ooh, Lying From You, probably.
That's a really good one.
Yeah.
I
I like Nobody's Listening a lot just because it's like hip hop. But
Yeah,
Yo!
I'm in agree.
Yo, you guys should do a straight hip hop track like that. Like how Linkin Park would have those, like the straight.
I'm always trying to do it, but it's we gotta wait for
We
the right
have
time.
one.
Yeah.
We do have one.
I think that would be
Or
really
two.
cool. I think that would be really cool to have like a Fort Minor side projects type thing for
Oh, yeah.
just for Sky.
Oh wait, I changed my mind. Breaking the Habit is my favorite Linkin Park song.
I bet you sing the shit out of that. Oh man.
Maybe you'll get to see it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, when you guys hit LA, we're gonna have a crazy after party. We'll do a karaoke after party. We're gonna burn that shit down.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I do think that about wraps it up. We've got to get to these requests. But Cheem, it is such an honor to have you guys on board. You're my favorite band in the world, and thank you so much for everything you guys do.
Thank you for having us. Really
Thank
appreciate
you.
the opportunity.
All right, my pleasure. Seeing you guys off. Peace. Have a great one.